I want to know everything there is to know about you.
Now I'm going to introduce you.
You must have spotted her by now. She's always there.
Don't I deserve love?
Somebody has to like me best.
Hello, and welcome to the Don't Know Her podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
We may sound a bit more sniffly than usual.
Yeah, a bit heady.
But with this kind of colder weather and this flu-y stuff, which touch wood is not COVID, we also get Halloween.
Woohoo!
So we thought, when we sat down and were planning who we would talk about, we should focus on, for the next two episodes, people that bring Halloween vividly to mind. And our first choice is Kathy Najimy, who I would imagine most people will know from Hocus Pocus.
Oh, sure.
Which is nearly like the definition of a Halloween movie if it wasn't for other films that are literally called Halloween. Probably taken. Where she plays a witch. We'll talk about that, of course, and why she's fantastic in it. But also Sister Act is a bit of a Halloween-y, costumey vibe to me.
Sure, yeah, definitely. I think costumes and dress up when I think Kathy Najimy. So, yeah, she's applicable beyond her presence in Hocus Pocus and some other horror films which I did not sit and watch, like Bride of Chucky. But yeah, she's a Halloween gal.
And Rat Race is a real, scare fest.
It is shocking.
Anyone with a moral compass surely would be scared shitless by Rat Race. I'm just so excited to talk about her. She was on our list again, like loads of these people, like when we first put it together. She seems to be like the epitome of someone who is successful in her own right. She's in Sister Act 2, Hocus Pocus. And culturally, people recognize her and know who she is. But where are the roles? Where are the film roles? And in this case, where are even the TV roles or the stage roles? She's had successes, but it's not very prolific.
No, it's patchy. And even in these films, which we are going to probably focus on most through this episode, again, I was like, she's underused, underserved, even in these films where she's wonderful to watch, but is still underserved. Annoying.
But what we will say is Kathy is never annoying. She's a wonderful screen presence, and I'm so excited to talk about her.
Me too, but why don't I jump in and give us a little Kathy Najimy rundown-a-rooney. So, Kathy was born on the 6th of February 1957 in San Diego, California. Her parents are Lebanese-American, which makes her extra cool. Najimy's performing career took off in 1986 when her and Mo Gaffney's comedy play The Kathy and Mo Show came into being, which spurned 3 kind of long-term New York runs in the theatre, and then from that generating 2 HBO specials as well. Najimy's film career took off in the early 90s with smaller roles in films like The Fisher King and Soap Dish, with 1992's comedy gem Sister Act providing her first major role, or major-ish role, as Sister Mary Patrick, which she would then reprise in the 1993 sequel, Back in the Habit. She also starred in other big-hair family-type comedies like, of course, Hocus Pocus, and Rat Race, as we've mentioned. Most recently, I guess, Najimy can be heard in the likes of Disney Pixar's WALL-E, along with a lot of other animated TV shows and films. She's done quite a bit with Disney. She was also recently in Netflix's 2018 film Dumpling. Her TV career has been fairly fruitful in that she has had quite a lot of recurring roles and things. She was in Ellen, HBO's Veep in The Big C. She's the voice of Peggy Hill in King of the Hill, which I didn't actually clock until I was reading up on her for this, but I did watch King of the Hill back in the day.
Yeah, sounds like it paid for quite a bit of her life. Her mortgage. She's basically being this is the best thing she's ever Done.
Oh, good on her. And it's a really cool one, King of the Hill, actually, because I would have never clocked it because she is playing a like character, like she's doing a big accent. So I would have never known it to be her. But yeah, and then beyond that, I guess a lot more sort of guest type roles with the likes of Desperate Housewives, That's So Raven, and Ugly Betty, just to name a few of those. And like you were saying, there is some theatre work, not a huge amount. She did do a version of the Vagina Monologues for a special event. I think it was, oh gosh, I can't remember what it's for, but she was in a version of the Vagina Monologues. She was in a stage play called Dirty Blonde, where she played Mae West as well. But I guess kind of most importantly for her beyond her acting career is her activism. Kathy Najimy is a very prolific activist, kind of covering a huge amount of ground on that, known for traveling throughout the United States, speaking on a variety of topics. I mean, equal rights, LGBT rights, AIDS awareness, along with so many other things, feminism, equality, and gender. Pretty much everything. She worked with PETA for a long time as well on a few occasions. So she is a through and through activist and all in all, a very busy woman. But why don't we dive on in and talk a little bit about some of the films we most enjoy, or perhaps not so much, from Kathy's career?
Yeah, I mean, where should we start? I guess Sister Act is because that
The
is
launching pad, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a big moment for her. Nominated for an MTV Breakthrough Award.
Was she? Oh, I didn't know that. That's lovely.
She was beaten by Marissa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny, which was a big moment too. Went on to so beaten by an Oscar winner is as well as nominated against Halle Berry in Boomerang, Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard, and Rosie O'Donnell in A League of Their Own. So that is a fivesome that I'd love to be partying with. I was going to say in bed with. I'm not sure that's appropriate. Dance with.
Maybe.
Do anything
for some light chit chat.
For light chit chat. Pillow talk. She's just wonderful. And well, let's talk about Sister Act, the first one. Like, it's such a good film. Like, I just am so taken by it.
Yeah, it's a great time.
The setup of it, like it was written and developed for Bette Midler. So Whoopi Goldberg, despite not being like the best singer, it doesn't matter. Like, it really does not matter. Like, it clearly was written for someone that can belt a number, and Whoopi cannot in the same way as Bette Midler. But Whoopi has so much charisma in this role, and that the whole structure is really her versus tradition, which is Maggie Smith. So it's Maggie Smith versus Whoopi Goldberg. And then you have these delightful, like, supporting performances, including Kathy Najimy, who is just always chirpy, and like cynical Whoopi Goldberg is a Sister Mary Clarence is just like, what is going on?
Are you always this cheerful?
Am I? All right, I am. I know it. I can't help it. I've always been upbeat, optimistic, perky. Even as a child, my mother used to say, that girl is pure sunshine. She'll either grow up to be a nun or a stewardess. Coffee?
Oh, it's such a time, and I would be shocked if anyone said they didn't love, or at least really, really like Sister Act. It's just so much fun. It's such a good time, and she's having a great time. They're all having a great time. I can't imagine it wasn't an absolute hoot to work on as well.
Oh, you'd hope so and imagine so. And even just that bar scene. So Whoopi Goldberg is like, she is, this. So people who do not know what Sister Act is, she is this wannabe, like, big kind of club singer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you describe it?
Yeah.
She's doing decently enough, but she's going out with a mob boss and witnesses something she shouldn't, so has to go undercover. And they decide, where would they never look for this Dolores Van Cartier, because she is so what's the word? She's not religious, she's not pristine, she's not virtuous. So let's make her a nun, and let's put her under the the governess of Maggie Smith, who is very strict. But then, like, all these nuns, it's a tight ship. Like, Whoopi sits down, like, in the first day and says, what does she say? Like, the food isn't to her liking. And Maggie's like, out, get out of there. There you go, you're on a fast. It's just all very, like, it's very clear and really well set up and staged. For then to have this, like, change within Whoopi Goldberg, which is also reflected in the convent itself, in that, you know, they want to do something, and they want to spread love, and they want people to share the voice of God and all their beliefs, but they have no vessel to do that. People are disenchanted with the church. So Whoopi teaches them music, and they get to sing these great songs. Like, that is how, like, and why I guess Sister Act really resonates with people. Like, I will follow him becoming a gospel song, My Guy turning into My God, all these wonderful songs that they do. And Whoopi, in exchange, kind of learns that what is the meaning of life. Like, maybe going out with the gangster boss wasn't the best thing to be doing. It's just lovely, and it's just so much fun. And then so they're very impressive singers. So there's no way this would, like, it's not based in reality, but what a joy. And even Maggie Smith is turned to, and that's when you know, there we go. Like, it's the magic of movies, that all these people come together and make their lives better.
Yeah, it is just such a joy. So it's no surprise that Whoopi Goldberg went on to produce the stage musical of it following, well, quite a long time after, probably a good 15 plus years, maybe more than that, after the film came out. Whoopi Goldberg took it to the stage, starred in it herself a few times again, which is just lovely. But it is just so much fun. Kathy Najimy is such a joy in this. She's got a real sort of bashful, boisterous sweetness. It's just really irresistible. Oh, she's just such a ball of energy. Kathy Najimy, always in sort of the most prolific films that we're going to talk about, there is a real cartoonishness, and they really exploit this sort of cartoonish sensibility she has. And this is no exception here. It is very broad. But in this case, it's just filled with such love. You can just tell that she's bringing such decency to this character. It's lovely. It's so endearing. It's just the most endearing thing. And I'm not surprised that she won, I think it was an American Comedy Award for it, for Best or Funniest Supporting Actress. She brings so much to this and complements the cast very well. I mean, the cast here is great, but she brings a lovely light charm.
Yeah. And I will say, so the sequel, which I had not watched since I was a kid, and rewatched for this, the sequel, Whoopi brings all of that again to this sequel.
Yes.
And the sequel has so much going for it, much more nearly than the first one in terms of the music. And so, you know, the second one starts with Dolores as a success now, as her real self, not as a nun. And the nuns, now working in a school, ask her to come and help. Come back. And for no real reason, she says yes. Maggie does give her like a heartfelt speech and all this, but this is the structure of the film is a bit, or the exposition of this is just not very well developed. And then Whoopi's kind of lost, and then it's supposed to be like a surprise that she's going to turn this class into like these great musical performers and go and kind of do the same as the first one and bring them to a competition. But and this is a huge but, and why like my heart like literally nearly sings with the film. This is basically a deprived area. It's like urban city, like all these kids, like you have like Lauryn Hill's in there, Jennifer Love Hewitt. You're one from the Brady Bunch movie who's in love with Marsha. I forget her name. Anyway, all these people who are disenchanted with the system and are about to be fucked over because James Corbin, is that his name? James Corden? That's why I'm saying the wrong name.
No, that's thingy. That's James Corden's the talk show host in it.
No, but
James Coburn.
Thank God James Corden wasn't in it. He's in everything. Step away.
He would be if it was made now. He'd definitely be there.
Well, if there's a Sister Act 3, we'll be seeing James Corden. Sadly, sorry, James Colburn wants to sell the school. He wants to close it to make money for capitalism. He's already wealthy. He doesn't need any more money, but he doesn't give a fuck about these kids. And Whoopi comes in. And again, the nuns have all this passion for the kids, but she's able to like help them and support them. And there is something really moving and actually quite special for a film from 1993 about a Black woman coming into this scenario and making these young people's lives better.
Yeah.
And it's like the young cast in it are so talented, and also, you know, as much as a film from 93 would reflect that sort of inner city urban life or society as well as it could. Like, I'm trying to, like, can you imagine, like, the worst case scenario of that would be horrific.
Yeah. And
when you do get to see this cast, like, sing, which obviously includes, like, Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, she's good in this.
What a joy. Like, it's just so good. And there's a whole thing with Lauryn Hill. So this was before Lauryn Hill became Lauryn Hill from the Fugees and herself.
Yeah.
But her mother's worried about her. She needs to get a proper job. And again, this was stuff we've seen again and again and again. But it's totally believable. And doubly so for where Lauryn Hill's from. Like, how many people, like, because the system is fucked over and the likelihood of succeeding in this structure is so low that they'll turn to something like singing or whatever. And the mother, played by Cheryl Lee Ralph, you know, we get to know a bit more about her than you might a stereotypical sort of mother, even though it is still not great. And Lauryn Hill is able to, you know, in this kind of discussion, Lauryn Hill finds her voice, both in a literal and a metaphorical sense. And I don't know, there's just wonderful. There was a scene with these like 3 Black women in it, and I was like, oh, this is still surprising that this would happen in a mainstream Hollywood movie.
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's both the film's strength and weakness. I think it's fairly uninspired, but I do like the flipping of it. I mean, this essentially is a white savior movie, but because you have a Black character, Whoopi Goldberg, at the helm of it, it takes that away, and then it's, you know, far more palatable than it would have been otherwise. But I say uninspired in that it does still follow those very trodden beats that we have sort of seen many times before. There are real delights in it, and it's a delight to kind of be back with these characters anyway, Kathy included, even though she's not there nearly as much as we got in the first one. But I don't know, I guess it leans more into sentimentality and loses where its strength was in the humor and delightfulness of the first one. I think it's a bit schmaltzier the second time round.
For sure. And it doesn't really, like, this could have been a movie starring Whoopi Goldberg becoming a teacher. It did not need the nuns. It did not need the sister thing.
True.
And when they try and utilize the cast in a similar way, like Kathy Najimy is used as kind of sometimes as like a bit of a laugh, but it just doesn't work the same way because they're sidelined. Now it does work, and I did find it hilarious rewatching it about Kathy being a sex education teacher, like a nun teaching kids about sex. To me is wonderful, and she delivers that sequence very well.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to learn a valuable lesson and maybe have a little fun doing it. Yeah. The topic for today, promiscuity. Promiscuity. Who can tell me what that means?
Sandra.
Bring your drinks.
Sandra, I know you have a question burning inside there.
You can't answer any questions about sex.
Oh, don't be so sure. You don't have to bite the donut to know it's sweet.
But yeah, it's overall, it's just a bit. So I hear exactly what you're saying, but I guess I swoon for the sentiment. I also swoon that
Yeah,
they have
good.
taken whoever, like the director, who's Bill Duke, an African American man. I feel like the team must have been aware of what they were doing to be like, well, fuck, oh my god, what's the Michelle Pfeiffer one that I cannot think of?
Dangerous
right now?
Minds.
Dangerous Minds. Like, fuck Dangerous Minds, fuck these sorts of movies. We're going to take ownership of it, and we're going to do it in a sequel of a movie, which is kind of like almost like tricking people to see this film, which is a bit of a shame because it would have been better if they just focused on a different story. But arguably, maybe people wouldn't go to see it. I don't know.
It's a good point. And yeah, I guess there's all these rumblings of the third one. I mean, well, Kathy Najimy is tied to a lot of rumbling sequels that seem to have been around for a long time. But
you mean The Wedding Planner 2?
Of course, The Wedding Planner 2. That's
Ben Affleck. Oh my god, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez should come back, and then Matthew McConaughey's like, what? And it'll be about Ben Affleck being the wedding planner.
Oh, anyway, there we go.
It's come up there.
There we go. Then we'll add that to the list of Kathy Najimy sequels we're waiting for. Yeah, it's good. It is good to be back with them. It's good. They are a fun bunch. Whoopi Goldberg is incredibly charismatic in these films. Holy shit! So I mean, it's very easy to get swept up in it, regardless.
Yes, so easy. And I just want to shout out the two other people because I'm not sure we'll do episodes of them alone. But Wendy McKenna, who played Sister Mary Robert, is wonderful. It's Andrea Robinson is her singing voice, I should say, but she plays the mousy one.
Right.
And then Mary Wicks, who plays Sister Mary Lazarus, is amazing. I went to rewatch Now Voyager, the Betty Davis movie from the 1940s, and there she was as a nurse to her Betty Davis' mother. She also voices one of the gargoyles in Hunchback of Notre Dame. Mary Wicks is amazing and deserves so much more praise. Maybe she is someone we'll do, but
yeah, that's a fun idea.
It's the trio really, like Kathy, Mary, and Wendy, that are just such a delight, and in both of them, as much as they can be in the second. But what a bunch!
Yeah, they are
well cast, so well cast. But it is Kathy that lingers in my memory of it because her joy. She has such sheer joy.
She does. She really does. It's the same for me. Beyond Whoopi, it is Kathy's. Yes, unforgettable.
So unforgettable. Shall we say Hocus Pocus is I don't know if it's our generation or what, but it feels like Hocus Pocus is forever a main staple of Halloween for Western culture now.
Yeah, big time, and a film which obviously vastly exceeded the initial expectations when they put it together. It's lived on triumphantly for many. It will be one that is visited every single year by
it's so strange when you read and they're oh, it was a flop when it first came out, but now it is as successful as any kind of family Halloween movie.
Yeah, I mean, you could have called it, based on that initial lack of success, you would suggest it as a cult movie, but it feels way beyond that. Even you almost can't call it a cult movie because the following for it is so large now.
No, it also seems like an oxymoron to say Disney cult movie.
Exactly, very good point.
But no, what a delight! So the Sanderson Sisters, who wouldn't want to join this gang,
exactly,
are witches that, in short, are brought back to life because a virgin lights a candle, and they need to sacrifice children to stay alive, stay youthful, and they have a great time doing it. And they are such a hoot. They are, you can't really kill them. Only the sunrise will kill them. So it's great to see the kids. Oh my god! When I first saw it, they seemed so old, the older ones. But now I watch it, I'm God, they are young.
Yeah.
but it's really great to see. The more you watch it, like now, I laugh so hard at the lines of dialogue. Like one of the first lines the sisters have are when they're initially brought back, and I forget what Sarah Jessica Parker says. She's like, "Oh, we're sexy, we're whatever." Kathy Najimy says,
We're young.
Well, younger.
But it's a start.
and I'm like, "Oh, the older I get, the more this resonates." And I probably didn't clock it as much as a child. It's great.
Oh, it is. And I mean, just Hocus Pocus comes just after Sister Act, and the same year as Sister Act 2 as well, 1993. So this was a big surging moment in the early 90s for her. But this is the one when I was talking about sort of caricature and how she's known. I think this is the most distilled and intense version of that. She's kind of gurning, and it is wild. All of them are wild. What I respect so much about this film is the willingness to have just fully gone for it. Normally when you'd have these three characters together, one of them would have to be more subdued to allow like maybe one or two of them to be bigger, or maybe even like just one of them being big and two of them being more subdued characters. Fuck no. In Hocus Pocus, all three of them, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and of course Kathy Najimy, they are dialed up to the max, and they are bringing their most cartoony nonsense fun, but it is just so much fun. Like immediately goofy. Kathy Najimy is doing it. And when you're trying to compete on those terms with Bette Midler, holy shit, that's a lot to go for. But heck, she by giving it her all and then some, she does. They are so much fun together, and hats off to Sarah Jessica Parker for being an absolute blast in a way that we never see again, really.
Exactly. Well, I'd argue the First Wives Club is also similar. Sort of like,
sure. Good point.
But no, you're right. The three of those actors complement each other so well. Like it's such a fun. It's just such a delight. I was reading in an interview, Kathy Najimy was talking about them like kind of being like drag queens, like being personifications of like women, but extreme. Which, when watching it, it again for this is like,
makes sense.
Like this makes total sense. It's also like as goofy and all this as it is and entertaining. Kathy in particular, she's sniffing children to kill. Like there are like she can sense the children being nearby, and they use the word sniff, and she's like literally like sniffing the floor. Yeah. There's jokes with like Thora Birch as a kid about killing her. It's not very light, which is good. I think I just think it's so great and has so much personality.
It has really, so much.
Yeah, and Kathy is just really fun. Like there's so many really wonderful moments. Like they're, because there's a fish out of water comedy too. They don't understand of the 90s America. So they're just getting used to things. So there's a whole thing where she's watching TV in a house that they believe is Satan's house, but it's just a man dressed as Satan. And she's like watching an advert with a child in a stroller, and it's just like her mind is blown. I love it. The physical comedy is so good.
Yeah, it's off the walls. Big. If you like big, broad comedy, I mean, that's so much fun. It is delightful. But what I loved about it, so this is the other one. This is something that has been the heaviest rumored sequel is on its way for a long time. I think this one is on its way, but even still, it seems to come and go in terms of whether they're doing it or not, and they are still a bit cagey about answering that question of whether it is happening or not. But I was watching an interview with her quite recently where they were trying to probe into this, and she didn't fully answer, but she had said that they were having conversations about it, and that kind of with Bette Midler on the scene, it's irresistible to her because Bette Midler is pretty much the biggest inspiration in her whole life. She says kind of half of me is because of Bette Midler, and I love that.
She's a gay man underneath it all.
He definitely is.
I think the sequel, like, I'm pretty certain they're really gunning for next Halloween. Like, I think they're trying to like get it. But I mean, this is just from reading about it. But as you say, they could delay it for a year. Sure, the slate of releases now with Disney Plus, I feel like even if they weren't happy with it, like going into cinemas, they'd put it on streaming or do whatever blended release.
No, I think you are right enough. Actually, it is. It is apparently now in pre-production, and there is a poster for it, so it must be happening. It's happening. So
Oh no, that's me and the rest of the Kathy fan club made that poster.
Yeah, probably. You can't necessarily trust what you see on the internet, but it looks to be legit. So wow. Well, I'm there. Consider my ticket purchased.
Yeah, it's like I feel like anyone that hasn't seen Hocus Pocus, there must be a reason. Like there must be a reason to avoid such a film. But please go and watch it. Like it's really really
Yeah,
fun.
it is.
Unless you don't like, I can try to think what would be the type of person that doesn't like Hocus Pocus. But
Oh, I think people who maybe are a little more allergic to American comedy and broad American
yeah,
comedy.
you're also
might
talking to
find
someone
this-
who during Halloween tries his best never to watch like The Human Centipede or It. So Hocus Pocus is an easy way out for me to
Yeah.
not watch a gory horror movie.
It is actually the film I watched on Halloween last year, so I mean, I've just watched
Spooky.
it now.
How original. You're
Weird.
very brave. You're
I'm
so
the
brave.
only one. I'm so brave.
Well, don't be lighting candles, Scott. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's very true. That'd be dangerous, especially for me.
Especially for virgins.
Yeah.
But it is like shocking. It is shocking to me that Kathy Najimy post Sister Act, Hocus Pocus, Sister Act 2 doesn't have that much going on. Like she does, obviously, as you've mentioned, she has decent-ish sized roles, you know, kind of supporting parts, but none of it lands in the way of these initial kind of breakout roles. And it's also frustrating because Kathy seems to be the sort of person that there's a certain personality that they're putting forward in those three movies.
Yeah.
So, you know, broad, silly, physical comedy, light relief. But she obviously can do much more. Like that play that you referred to at the start.
Dirty Blonde.
Yeah, Dirty Blonde. Sounds like such a success, and she sounds. It's the reviews and everything about it seems like she has such range. Like she's playing, you know, different ages and different kind of states of mind and different, just like in a very different set of circumstances throughout this one play. But instead of like trying to kind of diversify the type of roles she could get, she's kind of pigeonholed, and then ends up, you know, the wedding planner, not doing like just kind of being a tokenistic person. Like all of these, like all like Hope Floats. It's just so like Rat Race. She is the wife. Like she's not even like she's kind of the light relief, but she's not.
Yeah.
Rat Race is wild.
Rat Race is wild. I remember it coming out and it being one of those films that everyone, like every kid was talking about and went and saw and would be quoting like Rowan Atkinson's silly lines from it. But it's a pile of absolute shit. It's
really... So I have the same memory. I remember it became this kind of surprise success. I remember at the time and it being a big thing, but God, I don't know what I would have thought of it at the time.
Yeah,
but it was upsetting to watch and think like this is what people thought was funny, and then word of mouth said to go and watch this.
Yeah, very strange. She is having a good time there, but yeah, she's sort of got this wife part, and even though her wife character sort of gets to wear the trousers in the relationship, it's her in God, I can't even remember the name of the chap who plays her husband, who crops up all the time in everything. John Lovitz. John Lovitz? John Lovitz?
Oh yeah, John Lovitz.
Who I guess was doing quite a lot, certainly at this point in time. But yeah, she gets to be, at least she's not a woman to get walked all over. She's definitely in charge and commanding. And
okay, well, yeah. Wait. Well, firstly, let's describe the plot, because there's a huge plot point of which I will say, even if she was all these things, that is undone in such a spectacularly bad
That's
way.
a very good point.
But I agree with you that she, in some ways she's not a doormat. In some ways she is in this. She's a nagging wife. But Rat Race is a story of John Cleese owning a fucking Las Vegas casino.
Yeah.
And getting all these like rich billionaires to bet on a group of people and who will be the first to get across the United States to get a duffel bag full of money. Is it $2 million or something?
Something like that.
Kathy Najimy plays the wife, as you said, of John Lovitz. And John Lovitz is the character who knows about this game. So he chooses not to tell his family, but his family tag along. In itself, strange, absolutely strange. And they go through a lot, and they talk a lot about being Jewish at the start of the film. So, like, we know that this is going to be important. And then she wants to go to a Barbie museum, is it? The daughter?
Yeah.
And it turns out to be a Nazi museum instead.
Yeah, and full of current day
Replica.
Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of jokes or perceived jokes about Jewish people telling Nazis that they are not Jewish.
You're leaving?
What? No, yes. Well, we have a 4:30 book burning, and then we have a
Christening.
Yes, a christening for one of our many white Christian non-Jewish friends. Family relatives.
Blood
Yes,
relatives.
the Himmler Hessen von Starickenberg.
Thank you so much.
Yes, love your dude.
You are. Thank you.
Okay.
It's beautiful. We had a great time.
And then they rob Hitler's car. They find lots of like props in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, loads of things like this. Then they end up in like a Nazi rally. He at some point has a Hitler mustache on him. But the point of which I had to stop you is because Kathy Najimy is the one he is wearing trousers a lot of the time. She's the one that says, "We stop. We have to go to the Barbie museum. Stop. We are going with you to wherever you're going," instead of saying. But then he like drugs them. He drugs them when they say, we don't want to go on this rat race anymore. We don't care about money. We want to be with you. So he drugs them. And the film thinks that's fine. And the film has that's one symptom of every storyline has something shitty like that. Cuba Gooding Jr. crashing a car full of people because a person dressed as Lucille Ball, he's driving a bus full of Lucille Balls, which, because of the new movie with Nicole Kidman coming out, I was just like, all I could see was like Nicole Kidman's faces everywhere. And then there's a wig burning. Just a lot of it reminded me of Nicole. Lots of wigs.
Sure.
But this one Lucille Ball's like, I need to go to the bathroom, and was basically confiding, saying like, I'm nervous because I've got a penis. Like, I don't want to, like, like in many other instances, I was reading this as like, this person's asking for help. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s reaction is like, ew, that's disgusting, and veers the bus into the ditch. But by this point, even that wasn't like shocking to me. I was like, this is just the same movie. This is just such crap. Like, such crap.
Yeah, total crap.
Like, what is there any redeeming features about this movie?
No, I mean, Whoopi's in here as well, again, but she's just bit nothing in it compared to what we can get from Whoopi.
She does get a scene with Kathy Bates, who's trying to sell her squirrels.
Yeah,
and because Whoopi and her estranged daughter, who they have just met up just before this rat race began, they say, no, we don't want your squirrels. Kathy Bates tells them, well, you know, I'll help you. Just follow this route. But that route, of course, is leads to the destruction of their car, and also has loads of signs saying you should have bought a squirrel, like on different pads. But even that, like, I chuckled, but I thought like,
oh no, it's then strange. It's like, why have you turned up, Kathy, for like one scene? No, it's not. And then at the end, they arrive. It's dated as well, so they arrive at a concert at the end of the film. I won't spoil it if anyone actually does, after what we said about it, want to go and watch it. But they end up at this concert, and it's a Smash Mouth concert, and it's just all a bit yucky. I mean, I just now think of them playing at Donald Trump's inauguration and all that shit. Like, they're gross.
Oh, they're a real band. I mean, I was just like, what the fuck's happening?
Oh yeah, Smash Mouth who sing All Star that's in like Shrek and everything.
Oh, I mean, I think by that point I was so like it was still burned in my head. Rowan Atkinson trying to get a key from a baby's nappy, and saying "I've got it" in this weird Italian kind of accent. That I was like, I just don't know how drunk someone would have to be to enjoy this and accept it as humor.
Oh, I still can't even imagine. It's so peculiarly unfunny.
But I bet I laughed when I was 12.
Oh, I'm sure I must have as well. I think I specifically did laugh a lot at Rowan Atkinson in it.
But that's where like internalized homophobia, sexism, and all that came from too. Like comes from that sort of culture. So this is why maybe I'm so harsh in it now.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Would not recommend.
But it is like she hasn't done like Rat Race. It's not even worth talking about Rat Race really for Kathy Najimy. But then there's not many other things worth talking about. Like Dumpling, she comes in as a parent of one of the kids and involved in the beauty pageant, and she's trying to stop the kid from taking part in it, but then realizes that's I have to let my daughter do her thing. And even though she is a bigger girl in a beauty pageant that prioritizes skinny young white blonde women, she deserves a chance too, and she's getting joy out of it. But even in that, she's not. It's the focus isn't on her. You've got like Ginger Minch, the drag queen, right beside her. You've got Jennifer Aniston on stage. You've got Danielle MacDonald, who is amazing as Dumpling, enjoying Dolly Parton. Like Kathy Najimy's kind of sidelined even more so than usual. So I don't know. Like I don't really know what happened with her career. I was laughing about King of the Hill, but maybe grand. Like if I had a job that was comfortable, paid well, why would I not? And she doesn't look like your average female movie star of the 90s, which I'm sure must have counted her out of movies quickly. And when we like talking about Joan Cusack, if Joan Cusack struggled to get roles of quality for her, and she had bigger opportunities and had Oscar nominations and all these things before, I feel like Kathy Najimy would suffer the same sort of like, well, we don't have funny female roles unless they're going to be a love interest or something. And that's something Kathy Najimy never did.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. I mean, she was working a lot, but it was, like you're saying, it's bit parts and things. And there's a lot of great films in here, which either just we touched upon in the intro, but again, she's not there, so it's just not worth the time of kind of talking about them in the context of her. But yes, I guess lots of TV work, lots and lots of voice work, and she is obviously a very talented vocal performer. So I'm sure she's doing just grand. However, it's just sad because I want to see more of her. And like you're saying, she had this massive boom in the early 90s, and then that was it. Like, why on earth out the back of those films, like you said, Sister Acts and Hocus Pocus, why did we stop paying attention? It's very unusual. And I guess particularly unusual, like, his name comes up a lot, but Ryan Murphy, like, why have you not, like, clocked Kathy Najimy?
Well, maybe she has her head screwed on.
Yeah, maybe she's like, fuck that.
Yeah, no, it is strange. It is the system. Like, I honestly would put it down to the industry not having a place for someone like Kathy Najimy, who could, in theory, play anything, but because there's a fixed perspective on what certain roles should fit or what certain characters should look like, she doesn't fit them. Yeah. And it's really frustrating
Mhm.
because there's no doubt she could do a lot more. And I kind of hope that something will happen. You know, she's in her 60s now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hopefully Ryan Murphy keeps his dirty mitts off her.
True, but it is surprising given a lot of things that hasn't happened. But yeah, I think the right thing will turn up for her and utilize her because she's like different now. And I guess we can go on to this when we talk about future. But she's got a different energy now than when she kind of was at that peak in, say, like the early 90s or whatever. And I think it could be used really well, but don't want to leap ahead too much. In the meantime, is it time for fun time?
Yes, it is time for fun time, playtime, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be asking you the questions, and there's going to be 3 rounds. And what do you want the prize to be? Do you have something in mind? Do you want me to come up with something?
I want to go to a concert where the 3 sisters from Hocus Pocus perform a medley of revamped hits, like I Put a Spell on You.
That sounds terrific. Like they could do Levitating.
And
get it?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, that would be great.
Like the Dua Lipa song.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, it just came off my head. I don't know. There's probably loads of
there's so much ways we could do it. So they sing witchy hits at I would like quite an intimate venue, maybe like a theatre type space. Be a good time.
And Whoopi could come in for like a little part of it and do like a gospel witchy song.
Yeah, she's welcome.
Which, to be honest, any gospel song or Bible song is witchy, maybe. Says the atheist. Okay, so are you ready? Speaking of which, round 1 is really quite, it's a good segue into this. It's called I Put a Spell on You.
You put emphasis on you. Was that you saying Hugh or something?
No.
How you would normally say it.
Between you or you. I would say the same. Sorry to use around the world. No, so I want you to name 4 or more people who have covered I Put a Spell on You officially.
Oh, okay. I Put a Spell on You. Sonique.
Thank God. That's the only reason we're doing this podcast, is to talk about Sonique and try and get her career off the ground again. Sonique, who is this big moment in kind of British-Irish culture for a bit.
And that's what... that's pretty much all you want me to say. Otherwise, Creedence Clearwater Revival did it. Who else? Of course. Oh, who was it who most famously did it? Well, Nina Simone did it. Who else? Who's the original? The original's like a famous jazz musician. Who is it? I Put a Spell on You. It's not like Fats Dominoes. No. Gosh, it has been done a lot. Well, they've done it. So Bette Midler.
But sadly, it's not available like on Spotify and stuff.
It's what?
Mad. Not available.
That's insane.
I have to, it's hard for me. I have to go from Spotify to my YouTube app if I need to listen to it.
Very, very annoying.
So you still have 1 more to go, and you haven't got the original person yet.
Who was the original? Original. Screaming Jay Hawkins? No. Yeah, Screaming Jay Hawkins.
I'm so impressed, yeah.
But I can't...
Okay,
there is loads. I bet like Billie Holiday and stuff did it too.
Yeah. And then Annie Lennox recently, Marilyn Manson.
Oh, of course, on the Nostalgia album. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a great song to cover. So you passed with flying colours that round. And again, Sonique, if you're listening, you do have fans out there. We're waiting. No, she's released a new album recently. She's still making loads of music.
Oh, I
She
think
doesn't
she
need
is
our help.
touring. Yeah, I think she literally is touring, so we should probably look into going.
Yeah, and people should buy. That should be the prize. You and Kathy Najimy get to go watch Cynic.
To a Cynic concert, brilliant.
Okay. Second round. Sequel or not? So this is inspired by, the question whether or not there is a Hocus Pocus sequel or a third one in Sister Act. And I want you to tell me if these Disney films have a sequel.
Oh, okay.
So this I hope will be an easy start to it. Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks does not have a sequel.
Correct. There sadly is no sequel to Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The Mighty Ducks.
The Mighty Ducks, yeah, that probably has at least one sequel.
Yes, that has quite a few. No, I think it has 3.
Okay.
My research stopped there for the third one. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Does not have a sequel.
Yeah, and it's a shame. Like, if you read about what was being talked about with sequels and stuff, that would be a good one. I love that movie.
It's great.
Cool Runnings.
Does not have a sequel.
No, sadly not. Cool Runnings is another. Well, I haven't watched that in years, but about a Jamaican bobsleigh team. And The Parent Trap. Either the Hayley Mills version with Maureen O'Hara or Lindsay Lohan. So any sequel to any of those. Either of those.
No sequel. They were just one piece.
B. You've done really well there. Yeah, correct.
That was easy.
Easy. Yeah. Okay. So third round, final round. Stage to screen. Do they exist?
Oh, this one
So
trips me up normally more.
Okay. So, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Did go to stage.
I don't know if I can agree because it was so bad. I'm not sure that
was that the London version with I don't know who was in Tamsin Gregg. Yeah.
So when you think Spanish, do you think Tamsin Gregg? I'm not sure anyone does.
Yeah, always. She's the first person that comes to my mind when I think Spanish melodrama.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think so, but I mean, I'd imagine that would be strange for there not to be something, but not that I'm aware of.
So, Gone with the Wind was a West End musical in 2008, directed by Trevor Nunn, probably most famous for Cats, with Darius.
Dinesh.
I don't actually know if Dinesh, was he not just Darius?
Yeah.
That's why my mind went blank. I was like, oh my god, is he just Darius? And he played Rhett Butler. Darius is a big kind of like what? What was he? A big
well, he was in one of the shows, Pop Idol or Pop Stars, whatever. And he had maybe one hit, maybe 2 hits. Scottish.
Was it called Colorblind?
Colorblind.
Okay, next.
So it feels so good, something like that. Oh, I said it would be so. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, that rings a bell.
And the night when I close my eyes, you're colorblind. Yeah.
Okay. So one right, one not right. The Godfather.
Oh. No.
Correct. No, I think that probably would be a fun musical, but
yeah,
no, there isn't one. All About Eve.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't called All About Eve. Do you know what it was called?
Oh, sorry. These are meant to be musical versions. I remember it being on stage very recently.
Oh yeah, no, that wasn't a musical. Sorry, no. All About Eve was called Applause and starred Lauren Bacall as the Betty Davis part.
Wow.
1970 in Broadway. Yeah, a part of it, they go to like a gay club in it. It was filmed for TV. You
Whoa.
can see clips of it. It's very interesting. So 2 more. Ghost.
Yes, Ghost is.
Yeah. Quite successfully, it seems.
Very, yeah.
And E.T.
No.
It would be so wonderful though if
It would be very cute, but I would be so intrigued as to how to make that happen. But I would
like
be keen.
theater is so into puppetry that there
Yeah.
must be some workshop going on somewhere about E.T. musical.
I hope so.
And just say, because I think the Sister Act musical, stage musical, is touring like the UK and Ireland, and it is so good. Like I love that show.
It is good.
I saw it when it was touring years ago with Cynthia Erivo as
Wow! Oh, that's
Dolores.
so cool.
And she like obviously pre like the Color Purple musical, a stage musical, and Harriet and Widows, the movies and things like that. But she was so good. It's just such a fun musical and so joyous. So
yeah,
I highly recommend that. So yourself and Kathy are going to watch Sonique.
Thank heavens for that.
No, sorry, that wasn't the prize you asked for, but that is the prize you're getting.
No,
those tickets will be delivered to you and to Kathy very soon. Imagine they could do like if Sonique saw Kathy in the audience, she'd be like, "Come up, we're going to duet on I Put a Spell on You."
Yeah, it's really such a moment. Oh, I'm welling up thinking about it.
And when you do that, now we're going to talk about like what are you going to say to her? What roles are you going to try and put like in her head when you meet her?
Yeah, this is what we need to do. Let's make it happen. Good question. Where would I start with Kathy? So there's unless someone can tell me that there's dramatic roles I'm missing, there's been a severe lack of dramatic roles, and I definitely think she has it in her. But I'm sure that the easy way into it, which is sort of what I was kind of leaning into when I was talking about Ryan Murphy earlier, but not with him, but using sort of that activism that is very much part of who she is, and a role which would be maybe about activists. I don't know specifically, but maybe like an untold story from the AIDS epidemic or something about LGBT rights. I know she did that film that we watched for Nathan Lane, Jeffrey.
Oh, love Jeffrey, yeah.
And she's a lot of fun in that. But something more centered on her. I can imagine her playing being a key player in an activism film and just being, she could sort of be what she's done before and be big, but allow more of a dramatic front than we've gotten otherwise. So I think that would be, and I think something she'd be very keen to do. Like I can literally see that happening.
Oh yeah, I think it sounds like from interviews and like research that she is really motivated by making a difference and like her kind of footprint, let's say, or legacy. Because even with like Hocus Pocus, there was a thing I was reading about her being reluctant to take it because she was afraid, she was aware of the stereotypes it would make of witchcraft, and that wouldn't be correct.
Right.
Which is interesting. I read this after rewatching Hocus Pocus, so I'm not sure if I was a witch, would I be offended? How could you be with those three? I don't think you could. I am a witch. I think for like the first thing that came to mind was like, how do we get her in a big film again and like reunite with Disney and whatever? And the first role that kind of hit me has already been taken, and actually taken in quite a very obvious sort of casting choice. So Ursula the Sea Witch in the live action remake of The Little Mermaid. I really love Melissa McCarthy, but she is it's a very kind of dull choice to cast.
Yeah, I can't even make sense of it. I think it is a dull choice. I think it takes away from what makes Ursula the best Disney villain of all time. I just can't see Melissa McCarthy delivering on that.
No, I think it'd be more her persona than a character, perhaps. I'm all for being surprised and loving it, but it just doesn't on paper seem
No, I agree.
very exciting. And Kathy and Najimy would be amazing. But then I was like, and I'm not a huge fan of these live action remakes or whatever, but
No.
as they're happening, I was trying to think of who Kathy could play and who would be fun. And one of my personal favorite Disney animated films as a kid was Sword in the Stone. And Madam Mim, or Madam Mim, who's this like purple-haired witch who can turn into different things. So like dragons and she also like chases Merlin around. Kathy Najimy surely would be so much fun in that part, right?
Yeah. That's a fun shout. That is a fun shout.
And I believe, like, it feels like the internet or like people, or maybe it's just my bubble. Like, Madam Mim is enough of a known entity to be able to have some sort of film.
Oh yeah, she's the kind of undersung favorite Disney villain to a lot of people. So I think there'd be a lot of eager viewers for a Sword in the Stone remake.
Directed by Wes Anderson. No, that would be... Or Quentin Tarantino. I'd absolutely love if he was like, fuck it, you know what? I'm going to make Madam Mim with Najimy.
Well, it's funny you should say Quentin Tarantino, because my next one was going to be Quentin Tarantino, actually, her being in a Quentin film. Because watching interviews of her recently, like I was saying about how she's changed, and it's always been in her and with her activism and all of this stuff, but there's definitely a real untapped coolness. I think she just comes across as a really cool lady, and I would like that to be used, again, maybe sort of in the way that she sometimes it can be a bit caricature, but not... I don't know, like, I don't know where and in what and whatever he's doing next, but maybe it'd be obvious to say, but like a brothel madam or things like that, like a bar-owning crime lord type person. She just has a real, kind of not icy in like a mean or cutting way, but there is like this cool sharpness to her. And just, I can imagine her in a really nicely tailored like suit or something and just being... so eye-catching, and that just screams like she would fit into Quentin Tarantino. I genuinely can see it working perfectly. And then from that, when I started thinking about those types of roles, I then was like, oh, but what is like Lorraine Scafaria doing next after Hustlers? Because she could have fit in really well in there, both for that very thing I'm describing, this coolness that she has now in presence, but also the kind of comedy chops to cut through and lift up these stories. So that's me. Let's use the cool that otherwise is not being recognized, and it's there. So come on to those stylish directors to pull something fun out the bag for her.
Well, I don't know if this goes under cool, but like there's a movie I absolutely love, and I don't think enough people have seen, called Sudden Fear, which is a Joan Crawford movie where she plays a playwright or a lady playwright. They make a big deal about her being a female playwright, and she's successful, and she doesn't cast this actor in a part. And he is angry. He is not happy. Anyway, this show is a success. She was right in her casting of this other person, and they meet on a train. Accidentally, we don't know. Anyway, they get married. Then this other woman, played by I should say that man's Jack Palance, and this new woman turns up, played by Gloria Graham, and she has an interest in Joan Crawford's new man, and she gets suspicious, and she has this tape recorder in her room where she dictates her notes to herself, but she leaves it on as she walks away from it, and she records her husband and the new woman chatting, plotting to kill Joan Crawford. So the story is about like, am I going mad? And I won't go into detail, but somehow she loses this tape, so it's just her own like version of events that she can tell people. She has no proof. It's just kind of a thriller, but it's very well done, and it's just a real showcase for Joan Crawford, who, like, outside of say Mildred Pierce, I think this is her at her best. And I thought Kathy Najimy, directed by Todd Haynes in like a remake of it,
Ooh.
would be really cool and stylish. I also think Kathy Najimy, because this is set in the past, and I think it would still need to for lots of reasons. I feel like Kathy Najimy would be given automatic power in that world by being a successful playwright. So
Yeah.
she could be a single woman living in this big house. Do you know? And I want to see her in a powerful role.
Yeah, me too.
And a bit like Todd Haynes adapted Far From Heaven from Douglas Sirk movies, specifically All That Heaven Allows, but like adapted it for today. So instead of, the Rock Hudson playing the gardener, he has Dennis Haysbert. So it brings up race, which they couldn't bring up in the 60s. So Sudden Fear could have more themes going on at that time. I don't know. And I just think it'd be so much fun to see her play that part. Because obviously it's starting with someone who's, a workaholic, stressed, falls in love, is scared shitless, like then has to plot kind of a way out of this scenario and tries to survive. I think that would be so much fun to see her be stretched that way.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm fully on board for that. What a lovely suggestion. My final one was thinking about Greta Gerwig. I was like, I would like to see Greta Gerwig and Kathy Najimy together. And Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach have this upcoming Barbie film with Margot Robbie, and nothing more is really known about it other than Margot Robbie is the lead in it. But I think their sensibilities would line up beautifully. I think there could be a part in there for her, surely. I don't know to what extent it's Barbie. I'm very intrigued for how that's all going to come together. But I think that'd be amazing. And even like now, Noah Baumbach, if you think about like the Meyerowitz stories or something, I think those types of films she would be a natural in, and it would allow her to be more natural than we have seen her before as well in kind of earlier films. So yeah, that was my final little throw in.
Yeah, there's so many things like like a final thing, but my main wish is that like filmmakers think of her and producers think of her, and she just is kind of generally given meteor roles, and they support it. Because it's a shame when you think of like films from the 40s, say, in the 30s in America, there would be so many great like supporting parts. I'm thinking of people like Thelma Ritter and Celeste Holm, Ethel Barrymore. Like they're quite varied types of roles they would play. But Kathy Najimy could have played lots of those parts, but I don't feel like that happens anymore nowadays. But hopefully.
And I guess just to wish that the Hocus Pocus sequel is good. I mean, it can do the exact same things as the first one did, which is likely. But as long as it's funny and a good time, I'd be delighted, because then we probably will start talking about it again. I think that could be a good leaping point for her, is if Hocus Pocus 2 is a raging success.
Yeah, and I certainly hope herself, Bette Midler, and Sarah Jessica Parker can be as silly as they were.
Oh, I hope so.
Back in the 90s. The other thing is we can spend €250 asking Kathy to do a cameo for us.
Can you really? Is she on the list?
Yeah, she's on Cameo.
250. That's quite a spenny one, but
that's why I'm only bringing it up now, not as the prize for your quiz. I would have made the questions impossible if we did that.
Oh yeah, shit. No, you don't want to break bank too much for this.
But yeah, what a joy! Like, I love the movies that watch for this. Like, I was just so nostalgic. Rat Race we'll put to the side.
Yeah,
but that, like, Dumpling, The Wedding Planner, which we didn't even get to.
Yeah, exactly.
She's not really in it. Which has one of my favorite meet cutes. Like, do you prioritize your life or your high heel shoe? I picked the shoe too. Jennifer Lopez picked the right thing.
Yeah.
Your dream man will find you that way, and you'll be saved and sold the shoe. But I just had such a lovely time watching her films, basically.
Good. Oh, that is what we want. She is always the bringer of lovely times.
So where can people find us, Scott?
Oh, sure. Let me tell you. So, should you want to bring us suggestions of films that we have missed in an episode where we probably have talked about less films than we normally do, and you're like, excuse me, why didn't you talk about this one? Please let us know, or if you have suggestions of who you'd like us to chat about down the line, we'd love to hear those too. You can either email us at don'tknowherpod@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram or Twitter at don'tknowher_pod. And I'd like to also take this moment to encourage anyone to share us with friends, tell others about us. If you think you have someone in your life who might enjoy our ramblings on beloved actors and actresses of the big screen. We appreciate all of the sharing and liking and all of that so far. So thank you so much to everyone who listens. We really do appreciate it.
Yes, and please do subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, no, I second Scott. It's very lovely to hear from you guys and know people listen to us. Our deeply researched and really well-rounded criticism of film. No, our ramblings. And in this episode, our coughing, which I will try my best to edit.
Sorry.
But you know what? Halloween is coming. Next time, we're talking about another Halloween-y, would you say, Queen?
I would say so.
And we'll also be having a very special guest.
So lots of reasons to join us.
Until then, see you later, guys.
Have a spooky time. Bye.